And we're going to cover two upcoming artisanal products in this category. And, we will hear from the entrepreneurs, the promoters, about how they went about building what they're building, what has been their experience, what made them do this, their challenges, their recommendations, and very valuable lessons for all of us. So without further ado, there's some housekeeping material that very quickly I'll run all of you through. Kotiji, let's have a look at the housekeeping stuff, which is basically that all participants except the panelists will be muted. All your Q&A, please post it at the bottom of your screen in the Q&A box. We'll pick it up and direct it to the panelists to respond. And stick to any specific question or comment that you might have. And do send a mail to aarohana@niceorg.in, and we'll forward it to the panelists to respond after the session is over. And certainly look up niceorg.in/Aarohana. This is also being streamed on Facebook, facebook.com/niceorg.in. And do consider joining us on LinkedIn. You have the LinkedIn link at the bottom. Share it with your friends. Tell them to all join. We need to build this large community of like-minded people so that all of us can benefit and help create these cultural brands. So now over to the session itself. And I warmly welcome Srini of Kriya, Deepa, and of Amera Naturals. Let me just wait for Srini to get set. All right. So let me start with you, Srini, since I just back from Tirupati, about very briefly, tell us a bit about Kriya and how and why did you start?
Okay. Kriya is a consumer products brand that we work in home and personal care. And my co-founder was also my wife, Preeti. We started the company in 2011. After IIM, and she's from IIM Calcutta and from IIM Bangalore, we were, career FMCG people building brands there. And there was a deep disconnect between our personal way of living, which is an Indic way. We used to, consume natural food, be organic and all of that stuff, versus the kind of products that were being, sold in the consumer goods space. And there were two fundamental disconnects there. One was the environmental sustainability. I couldn't see a trace of sustainability in consumer products. And two is the lack of first principles or application of Indian knowledge systems in that. That was not something that earlier that was there, but it started more with environmental sustainability and overall impact on our health, consumer products. And we thought there's got to be a better way because India is a very ancient land, right? And what were we doing before 50 years ago when these consumer products came in, right? I developed a serious disconnect with that industry. I said,
hey, we lost you, Srini.
Going on in the consumer products industry, right? And wanted to build something on my own. I also had the entrepreneurial urge, right? And we started to attack categories like, we started first with the 100% organic soap nut-based laundry detergent, because laundry is a massive category of, environmental pollution. You've seen the lakes foaming over in Bangalore and in Hyderabad, and in no small measure, we are impacted by household laundry effluent, right? The manufacture, usage, and disposal of consumer products causes huge impact on the environment, but it happens at a small, tiny level in each one of our homes into millions of homes. So you don't see it in one spot, like a factory dumping something into a river, right? But in small, tiny doses, it happens. And the second point also is that these products, for me, I have a background in physics, and I always want to look at the first principles in thinking. If I'm putting something on my skin, putting something on my hair, putting something inside my body, how do I know it's good for me? And what's the construct? And we sort of came in that space. And we found the answer in Indian knowledge systems, which have very strong base of classical texts, which tell us how to build something from the bottom up. And I'll get to that more in the session.
Sure.
And we have the great advantage of these ideas being applied by people across India for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So we also validated, knowledge. Let me just give you, an example. Hello, am I audible?
You're audible. Your screen is kind of
So,
shifting.
yeah. So one of the examples that you see across the consumer products industry is that because we don't have first principles of recalls, just now if you see many large companies like Unilever and Procter & Gamble in the US were recalling dry shampoos, saying they could be carcinogenic, right? And that was just the addition of benzene in the delivery of a dry shampoo, right? But in India, we always used a hair wash powder, which is the original dry shampoo. The problem is people try to do things for convenience, for fun, or to jazz up the category, but there is a acute lack of first principles and can cause serious issues, right? For example, for the last 30, 40 years, we've been using chemicals like ketoconazole in dandruff, which is now banned in Europe, right? Because it's hepatotoxic. Then we've been using triclosan, which is now causing superbugs in hospitals. But triclosan is the basis of all hand sanitizers made in the last 30, 40 years. So there are some serious issues in this industry which we are also trying to address, and that's how we got here. And it's an evolving process. We've been 10 plus years in this business, and I don't want to take up too much time in the intro and leave it to the others.
No, so a quick summary is that given your backgrounds in FMCG and your experience with all the products and everything else, and seeing what is possible from the intake knowledge system, starting from first principles, given your training and background, build something ground up that sort of is clear of all these problems that the chemicals that currently invade our bodies, right? So, with that, Deepa and Harpriya, you guys also are at a company that's got the word naturals in its name, so which is very nice. So please tell us about your very quick backgrounds and how and why did you start?
Sure. You want to start first?
Yeah. Well, I have been a naturopath for 25 years, more than 25 years now. And being a natural healer, I've always tried to give a holistic treatment to all my patients. So probably, a hands-on experience on treating patients, understanding their skin types, skin issues. I think it was the right impetus for me to start Amira Naturals, because my patients only kind of motivated me. Why don't you make or create something which is healthy and, which is organic? Though I think organic, herbal, natural, these are terms which have been misused a lot nowadays.
Very true.
More like a trend rather than people actually knowing what goes into it and what does the word organic actually mean.
Very true.
So, like Mom said, so this all started with the service industry. So she had her patients and everything, and they became volunteers. So they came up with a lot of issues. And that's how we then thought of commercially bringing it up. Now, with Mom's experience in naturopathy, I'm by degree a software engineer. So I always wanted to know that there's this huge disconnect where people actually don't understand. Even today, there's so much jargon in the market that, I'm natural, I'm vegan and all of this. So there's an information overload. So that was very important on behalf of Amira as founders for us to actually tell people that you don't really have to get scared of these terms, understand what is the difference. Because I was just reading this today, I was in the supermarket yesterday and they just had this. They were selling these aerated drinks and they were calling itself without preservatives or flavors. And then you turn back and check the ingredients. It has all the artificial flavors you could actually imagine on this earth. Those digits, science students do understand that, but those digits. So people don't really understand that.
Yeah, though I would add here that, we are not a company who tries to demonize chemistry in any form, because we both are from science background. And my mission is to create something which is healthier, which is sustainable, which is non-toxic, not only for yourself, but for the planet itself, and something which can give you a sensory, multifunctional, efficient cosmetic. So it is something which is a fair balance between natural and the scientific innovations in the cosmetic industry.
Right. So, let me come back to you guys and then I'll go to Srini. When you started, clearly you had a set of assumptions, right? You said, this is what I believe is true. this is how I'm going to build what I want to build. This is how I'm going to communicate the value of my product to my customers, and so on, right? You had a set of assumptions and beliefs when you began. But now there is the market reality. So when the reality you face, there's always a chasm between your assumptions and what the market believes or market responds, right?
Yeah.
Help us understand these two things. What were the assumptions? What was it that you learned when you encountered the market reality? Just walk us through that, please.
Should I go first?
No, we'll go with Amira and then come to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, when I started Amira Naturals, blending, formulating, it's a kind of instinct and my passion. I love blending, formulating, taking all the plethora of, a lot of ingredients from Uttarakhand. And I always felt that I would be giving something which is completely natural to all our patrons, our customers, and the segment, something 100% natural. But as you say, there is a difference between what you assume, what you desire, and the reality. So when we did a survey, I found out that most of the people, they wanted something fragrant. Fragrance is the supreme. They want something sensory, something nice smelling. And it was a very difficult task for me to create a balance, to make something which is, nice to smell, which is efficient, which is super effective on your skin. So I think that is one challenge which we faced during our journey of formulating skincare products for Amira Naturals. But yes, we are, going slowly, and somehow, people are liking, but definitely that was a big challenge.
Apart from the let's say the smell factor,
yes,
what were the other issues? For example, you had to communicate the value of this. What was the channel? It was online. You said, no, I'll sell it online, or I'll sell it to retail outlets, your supply chain, and so on.
Now, regarding the sale or the business part of it, probably Rhythm will be
yeah. The underlying principle of any startup or any businesses, it should actually be a product market.
Yeah.
And sometimes what happens is when you're so passionate about your formulations and you want to create the best thing for the market out there, but there are a lot of things attached to it. First is the shelf life of the product, especially in our industry. That's a major one. Okay. If you try to make it 100% natural, make use of preservatives which are naturally derived, it will affect the shelf life of the product. You can't compete with a commercial based product, which by itself is actually your competitor in the market. So that's one thing that, natural companies have to face. Secondly, yes, fragrance is there. Third, sometimes what happens is texture of a product.
Texture, yeah.
Especially in face creams. Okay, people really love the weightless, effortless formulations for themselves. And I'm talking about the majority of the people. And when you're running a business, you need to capture the majority. Just the niche doesn't really work. You need those numbers. So yes, so texture of the product is really important. So I think we've gone on a different way. It's now a reverse engineering thing. We ask people what they want. Like we are entering the makeup, the color cosmetics market now. And we have been working on it for the past 2 years, in the sense each and every person telling us what they don't like in their current product that they're using, how we're going to change it. So in that way, even our assumptions with which we started, we know how to create the balance in what the market wants and what we can actually provide.
Okay, got it. Now, coming to Srini, the same question.
Yeah.
Your assumptions and yeah.
So we started in 2011. And to just give a little bit of background to this question, my partner and we first quit our jobs and took a gap year. We traveled a bit to brainstorm ideas and come up with, what we should do. Because after quitting a job, I said I want to do something, but not very sure, And we narrowed in this idea of building consumer products, with an Indian background. Now, one of the first things was, see, in entrepreneurship, there are 2-3 things, right? You start with the pain point, and if you're solving a pain point, your solution should solve it well, and then you get some traction, right? But in our case, we are bringing something new to the market. That also can be entrepreneurship, right? So you bring something that new,
Yeah.
the customer doesn't know that she needs it right now, but she sees it, yeah, okay, I like it. And that was the thing that we started with. The environmental pollution bit was because we came from the industry, and as industry insiders, we knew about it, but it was not such a big issue in 2010, 11 in India yet. It was a massive issue in Western Europe and US, etc. These laundry detergents have been facing a lot of environmental and government, action for 30, 40 years now. But so we came with a new concept to the market. So we first had to tell people to look that this is a problem, and we sensitize them to the problem initially through blogging, because there's not much of Facebook and other social media then. And the funny thing was this: we got fantastic traction for our concept, but very few customers. So here are people, and we got excellent PR. All the top papers, Economic Times, The Hindu, and Indian Express. So many papers covered us. We got decent traction in online magazines. People loved us. Lots of love for the concept, but our ability to shift their habits from using a regular detergent to the detergent that we are offering is very, very difficult. And we struggled on that a lot. So, it's very odd. People say, I love what you're doing. I think it's a fantastic product. I'm going to cheer you, but I'm not going to buy you. So that was problem number one. Yeah. Problem number two was manufacturing, right? So we come from a brand background. Me and a partner, at some point, we'll have to make this thing ourselves, right? But how do I get it done? So here we are roaming around the countryside trying to find herbs, then a guy who will make it. Because the existing market then was just 3P manufacturers for normal, large companies like, let's say, the Unilevers of the world, their captive market. So they had a chassis of how to make a product and large investments in those machines. Now here I'm coming with my little soap nut herb, right? And I'm saying this is a fruit. It's absolutely a fruit. It comes from the tree to your washing machine. And say, ye kaise banega yaar? Isme detergent kaise banta hai, right? I had to literally beg guys to make stuff for me, right? So the third, I always knew at that point that I'd have to sometime get into manufacturing myself, but bridging that gap between having my laptop and an idea in that laptop to telling consumers to finding manufacturers took about 4 or 5 years. And then we did two important pivots in 2015, which is one is we finally found some space in the wherewithal to decide to manufacture ourselves, right? So we got some land allotted in the government industrial shed, and we put our own factory. So that I can do myself, right? So, there's a lot of struggle there. I'll come to that. But at least I've got my own machines and my own staff. So they'll make things to my specifications, right? And also when you're a startup, your volumes are low. So at least if a guy said, he say, okay, can I give you, 100 tons, right? What will I do with that? It's a new product, right? So even if I found a guy, a 3P guy, they were not happy with my initial startup volume. So the second pivot, which we decided was we need to go to a category which is very close to the consumer's heart. And when we pivoted from home care to skincare, it really took off because it's on your face, it's on your hair. People, they're very particular, obviously, about their skincare and their hair care. But whereas cleaning products, it's not even used directly by you. You may be the shopper, but you're not the consumer many times, right? And that took us about 4 years, right? And here we had, and the nice thing then was all the people who liked our work and the brand concept that we brought in with the detergent and the home cleaning products were ready-made consumers for my skincare products as well. So that was nice. So I tested it out on all my existing consumers, and they said this is good. Our initial products on face and skin and hair, etc. And then it took off really well. In 2015 or so, I had manufacturing under my control, and that's the artisanal part of it, right? So we make very loving small batches of high impact products. They're not high volume products. It's not an assembly line product, right? Just take a soap, put a fragrance, put a cover, put an ad. It's not that. It gets deep into the prakriti of a customer. What is their skin type? What is their hair type? Why we make this product? We put 30, 40 fantastic Ayurvedic ingredients as per classical Ayurvedic constructs to make those products. Sometimes they're not much volume, but the consumer who buys the product really needs it, right? He can't live without that product. Once he's gotten used to it. So we can make volumes in an artisanal way, and we look at ourselves not as a factory, but more as a like a bottega, right? Like a workshop. Yeah. Right? We think one consumer in mind is good enough for us. And if I can make this for one consumer, I can find another larger group of consumers for that need. So we we're still learning and evolving along this, but this has been our journey if that answers your question.
No, it's interesting because you touched upon manufacturing, you touched upon, batch sizes, you touched upon, finding that initial set of small volume customers.
Right.
Now, how did you face the same issue of fragrance Number one. Number two is when you sell to the small niche group of people who love what you're doing, how do you get them to propagate the value of your products to, let's say, another 1,000 people, right?
Right.
How does that happen?
So, same as, from what Amira has said, is that we are classical, absolutely classical Ayurvedic by the book. So we don't make soap, shampoos, etc. We only make the formats as per the textbook. So we make oils, so we make powder hair washes and powder face washes. They're called churnam and lepam in Sanskrit, right? The massive change that we have is telling consumers that it's in this format because it's good for you. And if I want to give it in a convenient format, you'll get plastic packaging, fragrance, preservatives, and all the nasties that you don't want. So that's the price of convenience. So it's been a long, hard battle educating the consumer, right? And telling them that, and we sort of chip away their resistance to change. The good thing is anyone today over the age of 35, 40 has some Indic racial memory in them using these products in their childhood, and we all transition to mass consumer products. So it's sort of slowly, getting them to do it. Our products are not that easy to use, honestly speaking. The difference comes when you use them and you can say, wow, but they feel good. When you use them and when we finally get a consumer to somehow buy and they use it, that's when the magic happens in our products. Till then, there's a tremendous amount of hard work to get them to use it. And we had so many consumers who buy a product because they like what they say, but then they say it's so hard to use and it's unused for months and it expires the product. So many will buy it, right, and not use it.
So when you say hard to use, Srini, what do you mean?
The simple thing, I'll tell you what. A shampoo is easy to use, right? But we sell a churnam, which is a herb powder.
The powder.
You add water in it, mix water and put it in a paste, like the
old. It's like the old shikakai.
Exactly.
Old,
And the beauty there is that it is really good for the environment and really good for the hair. But the issue is who's going to use it. Many people say, look, I'm traveling or I'm in a rush. I've got to get to work in the morning, right? I can only use it on weekends. So many of our consumers use our products on weekends. They're unable to do it on weekdays, right? And they're making it a wellness habit rather than a daily use habit right now.
Got it.
Or if they have a severe problem, that's where our main traction comes from. And people have serious skin or hair problems and we have a lot of queries in children also. Parents with small babies with lots of things like eczema or psoriasis, and they come with severe issues. Those we're able to handle, but you're not able to get the regular everyday soap user to shift yet, and that's not yet happening. So
understand.
That's where we are.
Got it. No, it's important. Now, Deepa and Rhythm, for you guys, what was the manufacturing situation like, right? I mean, like Srini said, trying to get manufacturing itself for the challenge until he decided to get into it himself. In your case, how did you deal with that?
Well, you see, I work with a team of cosmetic chemists. And as I told you earlier, I started with serums, oils, blended oils, and made soaps from the scratch. But again, as Srinivas had just mentioned, that it was very difficult for people to use them. Yes, of course, usage is a big point here. So I wanted to make something which was multifunctional, easy to use. And for that, I took help of cosmetic chemists. So my formulation, my knowledge of aromatherapy, essential oils, botanical extracts, combined with their knowledge of cosmetic chemistry, and of course, our, evolving knowledge of the innovative studies which are being done in the cosmetic industry helped us to create products which are easy to use, multifunctional, and that helped us in a really, really
it did give us an uptick sales, also keeping the ethos of the brand intact. Like Shani just mentioned about the hair wash powder. So we've got a specific product, which is a face wash powder, actually. And funny thing, it's actually a cross between Indian Ayurveda, the Uptan and the Lepam, but with Japanese technology. So we made sure that we milled the rice in such a manner that it was pretty fine to use. Now, the thing that it came out very differently, it gave us PR as well. It was chosen by British Vogue. As a result, it led to an uptick in sales. So now people who actually want to get into the beauty field, who actually take care of their skin, he is really right. a few people use it as a wellness ritual, and a few people, they just want to use it every day because they can see the benefits of it in a single use maybe. So things like this, yes, it does take time. You have to shape yourself in what the company wants, keeping the brand ethos intact.
And I find there has been a lot of advancement in the technology, where a lot of these natural molecules, suppose I'll just give you an example. Rather than using neem in its pure form, you take out a certain molecules um, which work like antibiotic, which help to calm down inflammation. Those molecules are extracted from those pure neem leaves, and then they are used as actives in the skincare product. So right now, and I think that is easily understood by people because, as Srinivas said, that using lip, using those powders for hair wash, they are really good for the planet and really good for the environment, really good for your hair. But again, there are very few takers for that, and I always feel that when you are targeting a market segment, I think we need to cater to the demand as well because uh,
Like
so
I'll give you
the viability, I think it matters a lot. So we are turning uh, uh, something called, biotechnology shift in the skincare. So whatever we are using is non-toxic, though it may be produced in a lab, but it is non-toxic to you, to earth,
environment.
to environment. They are all biodegradable. For example, if you're using a sunscreen, a lot of essential oils are there, but there is no documentation regarding the sun protection factor of those oils, like raspberry oil. Or, I being an aromatherapist, I feel that suppose somebody is using a raspberry oil on the face, it doesn't give a guarantee that it will protect you from UVA and UVB rays.
And a lot of people have questions about that,
Yeah.
actually, especially in our industry.
Yes. So rather than using something which is toxic like oxybenzone and all, we shifted to mineral sunscreens. Use zinc oxide. Like I stay away from titanium dioxide because again, it's not good for kids. But yes, of course, we make a very, I advocate a fair balance between the synthetic molecules and natural molecules. I mean,
Okay.
because that is the way it's gonna help. It should be effective for the skincare.
Understand. So you're kind of almost like a Trojan horse strategy of getting your natural into hands of people.
No,
Uh,
but
it- what-
work over here
Work,
because
yeah.
I'll give you an example. Everybody's the herb ashwagandha.
Yes.
Okay, so there's this particular research scientist team working in Uttarakhand. We're doing a molecular technology of ashwagandha so that it's easier for people to consume and use and also give benefits. The benefits are faster and quicker.
Yes.
These are
Like-
the things.
Like
Understand.
we make a probiotic serum, which we use lot of ferments, like ferments from beetroot, carrot. So the origin is always natural, but it is highly, highly advanced when you take out those molecules which are effective for you.
Got it. So, in both of your cases, it seems to me that one of the biggest challenges that each of you faced relates to communicating the value of what you're offering to customers, number one. Number two is getting them, even after they have used it, to getting them to communicate the value to a larger set, right? So given that, you don't have the massive budgets of a Unilever or Procter and Gamble to advertise and everything else, what did you do to get the word out there that convinced people that, this is something worth doing? It's not, and the goodness of the product, how was that communicated? Let's start with Shini, and then we'll get
Yeah,
to
sure. Very fantastic question, Sanjay, and that's really got to the heart of the matter, right? You don't have an advertising budget, right? How do you do it? Thankfully, content marketing, which is not the inbound marketing, as we say, right, has worked really, really well for us. And we started, in fact, 1 year before we launched our product, while we doing the pre-prep work, we registered our domain name and started blogging about environmental issues. So getting to the first page of Google on certain keywords like soap nut or environmental concerns with laundry earlier, right? And the way we started, that really builds traction. Today, of course, the market is insanely competitive. But even now, for classical Ayurvedic terms, like say Abhyanga oil or words like Uptan or etc., we do tend to rank high in Google with our blog articles. The first is you must know your stuff. You must be a subject matter expert. And when you communicate authentically to your consumers for their benefit, you will get found on Google. It's a slow process, but it's zero cost and has very high traction and delivers a regular flow of traffic to your website and queries. It will come. You can convert. It's possible to organically grow. But the key there is you must also learn how to write for the internet. You can't be just an author, right? You need to optimize it for SEO. So digital marketing skills, which we never knew in our earlier avatar, as you know, earlier we were just brand managers working with large companies and, give money to the agency, put an ad on TV, and we came from that era. So we learned digital marketing, and that's what we do. Even today, the number one skill that I work on is digital marketing. Even today, I try and, the latest stuff, let's say how AI is helping, deliver better SEO. So when I put good quality content on my blog and try to come on the first page of Google search, that's where the magic happens. Fair amount of traffic can come.
So digital marketing is critical. I mean,
absolutely.
Just to summarize.
If you don't have a budget, the internet is your friend.
Right. Got it. Deepa and Rhythm, what are your thoughts?
I have conducted a lot of workshops where I educate people of all the nasties in the skincare, hair care products. And the thing is that people are really, really eager to know. I feel about the buying part, but when you teach them, when you talk to them, I feel there's a lot of curiosity in people to learn about these things. So I have conducted a number of workshops where we managed to get a good community now who use our products, and then word of mouth, and they friends. So I think workshops helped us a lot. Apart from that, of course, digital marketing and the social media handle are being looked after by Rhythm. So
yes, definitely. Yeah. That's completely true, Shini. I totally agree with you. Digital marketing is your friend if you don't have deep pockets. That's there. Okay. Yes, we did use the physical model as well. So we did go out there because what happens in skin and hair care in this domain is people want to feel the product.
Yeah.
They want to see it in front of them, smell them, feel it. So that's one thing. So you might lead to an online sale, as I say, but then what after that? That's the thing. So yes, we use the online market to put our story out there. Credibility, definitely. Okay. And then, yes, first thing, word of mouth is the biggest propagator for any startup. It is slow. It is painful. But it is really, really effective, and it leads to a really good conversion and a long time conversion. Yeah. The customers stick with you.
Yes.
The loyal.
I think these workshops helped us a lot. A lot of customers, they became friends. Now they celebrate all our milestones with us. So yeah. So I feel that these workshops, talking to people directly, explaining them our work, I think that helped us a lot.
Excellent. So there was a lot of... So they got convinced when you did the workshop.
In fact, Sanjay, I'd like to add a point here.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, because I have been a natural healer, and I have been, this industry where people, they kind of find your work credible and they trust you. So I think that also helped in our journey.
I mean, I've got two major customers of mine who are now on board with us.
Yes,
they work with the company and they put out the product and the brand ahead. So I think that was really important.
Yes.
So in a way, they are co-creating the product with them.
They're co-creators.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very nice. Shini, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I think very nice point we touched upon is if you and this is a larger context of the work that you're doing at NICE, right? You remember Kevin Kelly of Wired used to say that you build 1,000 true fans, right? 1,000 raving fans to build. I think that's where the magic happens for artisanal brands. And that's what we've been doing. Our customers, over a point of time, they're all over the place, and there is no sharp difference between the brand and the consumers. They keep calling us and telling us we'd like this from you. Very often, if a customer has a very specific problem, we custom make a formulation for them, and they tell 10 others. Word spreads the mouth, but and they really root for the brand because they can feel, but they have a relationship with the brand that's much more than transactional. In fact, I recently active on LinkedIn. I wrote a post that's been bothering me. I hate the word consumer, right? It just shows that I'm an endless supply of stuff, and you give me money and take my product. They're not consumers, but there's no other word for it too. Right? I hate the word consumer, right? The consumer is so transactional. So what do I call friend? Nahi, but what do you do, right? Grahak. There is no word for it, right? So our thing is that the mindset shift must happen from consumer to brand champion, brand advocate, where you as a brand, you look out for their interest in a genuine way, like you look out for your friend, or you look out for your cousin or somebody in your family, right? And they in turn look out for you with word of mouth. And one nice thing which happens is when you're genuine and you're doing something of high impact, is that the consumers are willing to forgive certain rough edges in your brand. Like your website is not so great looking. The delivery is a couple of days late. You don't have the fastest checkout process or some things like that, right? Rough edges are okay because they know you can see real people doing real things.
Yeah,
I think
you make an excellent point. Yeah, and therefore it is a relationship, right? It is, like you said, non-transactional. They're like your partners, where you're kind of almost co-developing and co-crafting, and sort of both of you are involved in the selling, the design, all of it.
I used to earlier call it open source. It's like open source, right? I don't use that phrase anymore, but it's open source. Yeah,
where everyone's contributing for betterment.
It has its plus and minuses. Sometimes you get too deep with them.
Get carried away.
And I can completely understand what Team Amira is saying, right? They get carried away, but it's nice also to get this much of love, because earlier when I was working for a large company, we would just only get consumer complaints, not one word of affection. But now we get both.
Good, very nice. Yeah. So coming to this, right? Like since you guys started and where we are today as a country, as an ecosystem for entrepreneurs, all of that, right? The past very many years, there's clearly been a big shift. In fact, the word startup entered the Indian government's lexicon only in 2016. Okay, it's only 6 years old as far as the government is concerned. In their language, the word startup entered in January of 2016 with Startup India. Until then, there was no official government document that had the word startup in it. Right? Wow. So clearly, the needle has moved and is accelerating its movement. So question for you guys is, when you started, and with all the hope and your vision and your dreams and all of it, and then you had this encounter with the market, to now what you see, I'm sure every day is a new experience, new learning, there's new technology, etc., etc. If you were looking at this entire shift in the landscape, what were the things that you think are missing today that would help you build your business in a faster, better manner? For example, is it, let's say, access to more funds? Is there some change in policy, let's say, with regard to getting access to manufacturing facilities, some additional subsidies or tax breaks, getting access to quality labs, access to more talent, suppliers, whatever the case may be? What would you say are those missing pieces? Let's start with Deepa and Rhythm, and then come to Shri.
Right. Okay. So yes, definitely there are a lot of things that are happening. Each state of it, India has their own startup accelerator and hub now. But there are a few things that very few people know about, like women entrepreneur policies of their state. Different states have different policies for their women entrepreneurs, for the small businesses. So if you're aware of them, good for you. But if you're aware and the process time is really, really low. So that's one issue that we're still facing. Okay, the process time is so long that till then, for whatever the funds and grants that you need, the company has already moved ahead either or has dropped that plan altogether. So that's the issue. That's with the government side. Secondly, yes, taxation. Yes, we need a few more rebates and taxes as well, because there's already a lot of pressure economically and financially on a startup. They need to spend money in different sectors. So that's one thing. Other than that, I feel, yes, there have been a lot of accelerators and incubators that have been helping. A lot of them have been helping at the rural level as well. So that's there. So that's a plus point that we've seen. Taxes, legal
For
audit.
example, let me just interrupt you. For example, given the products that you're making and selling, for example, if there was a situation where there was a scheme that gave incentives to larger companies to partner with you to be able to pick up some of your produce and brands and have some financial arrangement, commercial arrangement, so that you can get into their channels? Or is there a way in which, a bunch of companies, let's say within NICE, I'm just making this up as we speak, all of you could partner? For example, if you could partner with Kriya could partner with Amera, there could be one or two areas of some overlap. So is that something that would make sense? So I'm just saying, let's thinking aloud, what are the possible areas that one can collaborate and cooperate?
Yes, definitely. On this level, yes, we've seen a lot of collaborations. There's been an incubator. We've been under IIM Bangalore, and so they do a lot of collaborations. So that's there, and it really benefits not only in point of sales. Your word goes out. So a lot of people help you network others, based on the government level, on private level. So everything is there. One thing that I also see is, because I was in words with an international incubator, and that is what I found in their country. They've got this wonderful talent pool. Along with the pitch contest, they've got talent pool contests where startup founders can actually meet people in general and see whether they could hire people or they could have a co-partner over there. This is something that I find in India is still missing. There is a little gap over there. Somebody can even start a startup with this idea, I feel. Maybe like a dating round for startup owners. Something like that, speed dating.
Yeah. So there are speed dating sites for finding co-founders and others.
Startups. Maybe meet your next employee, or maybe meet your next partner, or something like that.
Yeah.
Something I feel.
Yeah, makes sense. Good. Srini?
Yeah, I think, I've been an entrepreneur of some way or the other for the last 12 years. It's an evolving landscape, and my answer is evolving. I think India has made fabulous strides in the availability of schemes, incubators, and I've also been part of some of them in IIM Calcutta, and I've seen the incubators in various places and all of that. There's a lot of fantastic work happening in many levels, and I'd say there's been a lot of progress being made. But I have 2-3 points of view on this. One is, all of it is happening either on the technology side, or if you, let's say, even take biotech on the R&D side, like only at the lab level. But a country cannot make rapid progress unless you're able to manufacture it efficiently. And that's where we are really losing the plot. And as a manufacturer, I can see that there is so much of stuff that's there in my head. But by the time I can get it out into the consumer, everything from roads, power, electricity. And I'm telling you something, at every point in time, even today, the government's policies are principle and moving, the government, less governance and more stuff online is happening. But still today, if you're a factory owner, you look like a criminal. The laws are absolutely draconian. The number of places to wade through, the number of licenses to get to, right? And many points in time, my batchmate is saying, why are you doing this? And you could easily be doing a technology startup. And all the work, I'm seeing a ton of, I happen to be in a biotech hub, when I have factories there. I can see a ton of action in biotech happening, but they're all struggling once they come to the molecule to actually making it. They're unable to make it at any scale and sell it to the world. The funding is there for a PhD to build a molecule or get a patent. But they're absolutely getting hammered to make it, because there's no capability in India to give startup manufacturing space or efficient manufacturing space. It's very inefficient. I mean, I don't have experience of other countries. I can't comment on that. But policy-wise and infrastructure-wise, we are stuck at the manufacturing part of it. Up till R&D or on the technology side or schemes or availability, even implementation, things are slow. But I mean, I'm in Tamil Nadu, so Tamil Nadu is actually a good place to be an entrepreneur, right? So there is a state level politics, right? So things happen in Tamil Nadu. I mean, it happens. Things work in Tamil Nadu, right? It's
especially manufacturing, yeah.
Exactly, right? but the space, I mean, the cost of space is skyrocketed the last few years, right? So one of the things in manufacturing you need large amounts of space and all of that, and efficient allotment of land and all of that. So somewhere, I don't know how, I don't have an answer. The reason I'm not putting a blame on anyone is I also don't have an answer. Like tomorrow, if I was in a policy level, policy maker, I don't know how to make manufacturing more efficient, but I do know that we're missing the plot there, right? So all these ideas which are bubbling around, right? There's tons of stuff happening at IITs and IISAs on the incubator level, from the R&D side and biotech and pharma and so many places, right? And obviously on the technology side, right? All these SaaS companies coming out. But when it comes to making a physical product, it's very slow and very painful. Painful is the word I'll use. And that's where it can be frustrating.
True.
But I don't have an answer, so I'm not complaining per se.
No, but it's a valid point. That's why one of the things that is emerged, is this whole idea of maker spaces, where there are maker spaces available, including with 3D printers, everything available out there. So you can very quickly get your prototypes out, and test those in the market. But you need lots more of them across categories. For example, how do you make tools and dies and all that? So it's a major effort. I agree. I agree. Now, given that both of you, have been on this entrepreneurial journey, what are if I was to come to you, and you were to mentor me, what were the 3-4 things you would tell me? That, hey, Sanjay, you know what? We are wanting to do some stuff in this, build an artisanal brand in health, wellness, and beauty. Here are the 3 things you have to keep in mind, and I would caution you, and this is what you should do. So let's go with, again, Deepa and Rhythm first, and then to Srini.
Ladies first.
So what would be your tips? I've come to you, so please tell me.
You want to go with the first one, or should I? Okay. First tip, how many other times you hear this? I need to repeat it again. Make sure you're making the right thing for the market. Because, sometimes you get so passionate and you put in your heart and mind and soul. And the market won't respond to it the way you want.
He keeps on reminding me this because I create.
No, because this can get really disheartening for the market.
I understand.
Yeah, very true. That's the classic, the science versus the market problem.
Versus the marketing. That's what the thing. You need to maintain a balance. That's why we call ourselves the yin and yang. That's the thing. Make sure the product, definitely the market needs it. If you think the market doesn't know right now that they need that product, you need to put in more effort in making the market aware about it. So make sure your awareness and your production and the way it goes out in the market is all in sync and it goes simultaneously. If one goes behind and the other goes in front, you might get, or you will definitely get, a lot of roadblocks on your entrepreneurial journey. That's for sure.
So that's a good tip. Yes.
Another thing which I would like to say, one should stay patient, and because patience and just letting people understand what you are doing. I think it takes a little time, but eventually, if you are doing a good work, then it will pay off in the end. So I think patience is a virtue which I would advise to everybody who's starting.
Hang in there, be patient.
Hang in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't get excited with the news of unicorns and all that.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Srini?
Yeah, I think Team Amira raised 2 lovely points. And I appreciate those points. The first is get a decent product market fit and do lots of prototyping at first to understand where your fit is. The second one is to emphasize a point. I think I'll put a big board for you if I'm mentoring, saying it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. I put it up there, right? So be patient, right? So the other thing which I would say today, if you're saying today, Sanjay, is that really get good at digital marketing plus building a personal brand. And this personal brand business has come in the last 3 years for me. So I would not have given this answer 5 years ago. But I think today you need to be a personal brand because the clutter there is insane. The number of brands that are there outside in every category is gone beyond a level which a consumer is now is getting paralyzed when they come to a category.
So you have to
And
stand
having
out.
having a personal brand really helps apart from your product brand. So the co-founder's brand, and that ties in with also getting good at digital marketing, because digital marketing is it's free, right? You need to just get good at it. It's hard work, but it's totally worth it, right? And it sort of makes you less dependent on the many things that can go out of control, right? So for example, let me give an example. When COVID struck, I was sitting for 6 weeks at home, right? We're all sitting for 6 weeks, and I couldn't open my factory. I couldn't get the passes, permits, etc. I said, let me open up LinkedIn and do something on it. I never used my LinkedIn account for 10 years before that. And I got tremendous traction on LinkedIn, right? On my personal brand. It's not yet translated to sales per se, but this is how I found you, right? Nice found me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right. And this opened me this opportunity to talk with this group today and learn some new things, right? So this personal brand thing cannot be postponed. That's the answer today. And I give this answer for the next 5 years also, right? Be out there on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever it is, choose a channel and be there, or even your blog, be there, because you need to build that marketing capability, and that because it is, I'm finding it at least 3 times or 5 times more cluttered than when I started in 2012.
Right. So, So you use digital marketing, build your personal brand.
Yeah. That's a more tactical sort of thing. Yeah.
No, I'm building a personal brand takes effort, right? I mean,
and you can't do it when you want it, right? The personal brand pays you rewards when you already built it. So it must have been done 2 years or 3 years ago, and then you reap the rewards. And that's why there's no.
So all the points raised show that these are all investments. These are not stuff that you do today and reap the benefits tomorrow, right? You have to build it out, have the patience, etc., etc. Great. So we're nearing the end. I just have one question that's come in from an anonymous attendee. He says that what stage of your startup, this question is for Mera, did you go for a manufacturing license? How easy was it? Did you opt for third-party manufacturing?
We opted for manufacturing because we were not ready to take on so much of burden on us of marketing, manufacturing, because we had a very small team. So, yes, of course, I had built up a very good team of, as I told you earlier, cosmetic chemists, because I think there lies the heart of formulating a new product. So I think that was very important. And
so one thing, if you're going bootstrap, okay, if you've already ideated and you're looking for funds and grants, that's a different. Then you think about manufacturing. But if you're bootstrap currently and you're putting in only your money, so the thing is, first make sure, even if the formulations, make sure your legalities are put into it. Even if it's a third-party manufacturing for you, make sure you put all the money in the legal team, okay? Make sure you sign an NDA, your formulations are intact, you get your patents on it. So then you can put the thing out over there and start making money on it. So yes, decide for yourself what would you do, because manufacturing itself, as even Shani mentioned, is a huge investment on.
Yeah, very true.
Another thing I would point out here, keep the sourcing of ingredients to yourself, because that's the most important thing formulating a product.
Yes.
So that's what I do. I source every so that you have that thing in your control, that whatever you are putting, you know where it is coming from.
Direct dealing. You purchase it. Don't let the two parties.
Got it. Okay. I think we have time for one last question that's come in from Velosip. There's actually 2 questions. Both of these are directed to Amera. The question is, the customers want good smell at least cost. And natural ingredients, the processes are cumbersome. It's costlier if you want to maintain the purity of the natural essence. How do you bridge the gap? And second question is, you said that you extracted molecules from the herbs.
Yeah.
When the extraction happens, are we not using chemicals or alcohol, ethanol?
You see, when extraction of these molecules happen, then this alcohol, they all evaporate.
There's no actual usage of alcohol.
Yeah, there are certain. Yeah, sometimes there is. But in the end, there is nothing left in the end product. So that safety is always taken into account, that the end product which you are getting, any kind of active, it doesn't have any remnants of alcohol or anything which is toxic. And what was the other one?
That's for the body, actually. And when you're talking about, if you're thinking that it will remain toxic or the alcohol remnants will toxic for the environment. So then I'll tell you, you need to really do your research well. There are a lot of factors where there's no usage in the production cycle. Okay, so do your research well. There's a lot of technology advancement that has happened in this. So you will know that. So beauty industry is one of the biggest polluters, I would say, and the maximum that industry. So you'll find a lot of methods. People are changing and evolving. Learn what is happening in the other countries. They have already evolved. They have already changed. Okay. Yes, there's a pricing gap. When you mention natural ingredients or you mention fragrance, fragrance also, we can't put artificial fragrance. We need a natural essential oil.
Here, because I'm an aromatherapist, we tend to blend those oils and extracts in such a manner that the result is that it comes out beautiful. A very, very nice, subtle fragrance comes out of it. So that is all the art of formulating and blending. And as far as the price point is concerned,
price point, if you're making a good thing, it'll take time, but the people are ready to pay for it.
The price.
This is the lesson I've taken from the past 1 year that we're putting out.
I think we have lost.
Some technical glitch at Sanjay's end, I think.
Yeah, we lost Sanjay. We'll wait for him. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Sorry, sincere apologies. I think Sanjay just lost power. So, lost his Wi-Fi and his connectivity. I think, thank you, Team Omera. Thank you, Srini. This was a very well, an amazing, informative session. We truly are grateful for you folks having taken the time out. And thank you to all the participants and those wonderful questions. I think there are many questions that would still come offline, and we would send them across to you.
Sure, happy to.
So thank you so much, and take care.
Thank you. And it was good to meet Team Omera also. And thank you to everyone participating.
We should connect offline.
Yes, certainly, yeah.
Lovely meeting you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for giving the time to listen to us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.